In just a few days, we might be asking the question, or at least maybe our neighbors, hey, what's all that racket for? Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 1 of comments pertaining to Yom Teruah, the Day of Trumpets, which takes place this coming Shabbat. We began today with a simple reading from Vayikra, Leviticus chapter 23, and this is the chapter that spells out the details for us for all of the Hamoedim, the feast days of Yah. In chapter 23, verse number 23, and Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th new moon, which is the month Tishri, which we're about to enter into, in the 7th new moon, on the first day of the new moon, you have a rest, a remembrance of Teruah, a set-apart gathering. You do no servile work, and you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh. That's it. That's all we're told. So the key thing then would be to understand what Teruah means, and it's given the idea of an alarm, a shouting, a blast of a trumpet. It is the idea of shouting for joy. It is a loud, clamorous noise. It's basically what it amounts to. So there is a day that is appointed for shouting, crying out, rejoicing, being joyful, sounding trumpets, sounding all kinds of noise. As the lead singer for Leonard Skinner said, very subtly, I might say, just after the intro on Sweet Home Alabama, he said, turn it up. Well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to turn it up. You are to acknowledge then the 7th new moon, the month of Tishri. Now, of course, and as most of you know, that Hebraically and scripturally, the new moon begins the beginning of a new month. Now, this is not the Gregorian calendar that most of us follow. This is a lunar calendar. Some of you will look for the first sliver. Others of you will look for the conjunction or the dark moon. And I have a preferred preference there. We're not going to go there. I don't want to try to divide anybody one way or the other. If you're observing the new moon and acknowledging its reality, well done. Good job. My dear friend Mike Clayton, for years, he is with jointahashem.org, if you want to look him up. Mike has been promoting a celebration and acknowledgement of the new moon for years and years. And he is a person, he and his wife Kathy, that I can tell you it is a mark on their life that they are favored and blessed for doing so. House of David, where Laura and I lead, we're trying to get into a more consistent pattern of observing the new moon. We want to see our people and our folks blessed and prosperous and favored. So we come to the month of Tishri. This is the month of the fall feast of Yom Teruah, also known as Rosh Hashanah. We'll talk about that a little later in the week. Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. And then finally, Sukkot, the time of tabernacles, the Feast of Tabernacles. There is a problem for a lot of us that we want to skip over the first two feasts and go straight into tabernacles because it's a fun, joyous, dancing, partying, rejoicing, celebrating kind of time. And we look forward to that. First things first. We look at Yom Teruah and we might say, well, what's all the noise for? Well, let's focus today on the trumpet. The trumpet is used for a variety of things. If you look in the prophet Joel, you will find in chapter 2 that there is a call for an assembly, a call for a broken-hearted assembly. Sound the trumpets, blow the trumpet in Sion. It's a warning cry. It's an alarming cry. and it's time to pay attention. So the sound of the shofar can be used to awaken you. Now, I will never forget the first time I heard a shofar blast. I didn't just hear it in my ears. It went down into the center of my being. I will never forget how that sound just penetrated me. And it's as if it awakened something on the inside of me that has never been able to fall asleep since, thankfully. So there are those that may have never heard the shofar or have only heard it on a recording. People need to hear the shofar blown in their personal hearing. It does something for them. It awakens a part of their spirit. More on that in a moment. And in the book of Vayikra, Leviticus chapter 25, the shofar is sounded to announce the arrival of the Yovel, the year of Jubilee. This is a time of release and a time of restoration. It takes place again with the sound of the trumpet. In Joshua chapter 6, we see that the trumpet can be used as a battle instrument. The sound of the shofar as they blow in unison, quite loud, and it does miraculous things. Ask Yehoshua, ask Gideon. It works. And Shemot, or Exodus chapter 20, the voice of Yah is heard as the sound of the shofar. So what does Yah's voice sound like? It sounds like the blast of the shofar. There's another aspect of this. I want to take you, if I may, to the book of Psalms, chapter number 47 and verse number 5. Elohim shall go up, that is to make aliyah, to go up, with a teruah, with a shout. The second line says, Yahweh with the voice of a shofar. So Yah is going up, he is ascending, he is rising up. To make aliyah typically announces that you're going up to Jerusalem in particular, but he is rising up with a shout and with the voice of a shofar. Now, where that plays interestingly for us is in the book of Numbers, or Bamidbar, chapter number 10. And it says in verse 35, and it came to be, whenever the ark set out, that Moshe said, Rise up, O Yahweh. How does he rise up? He does so with a teruah, with a shout, with a victory cry, with a war cry. Rise up, O Yahweh, and let your enemies be scattered, and let those who hate you flee from before you. I am seeing then that the shout that we raise on Yom Teruah, it is about elevating, raising up the name Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, exalting him, and doing so with a battle cry and a victory cry. Whenever we go into battle in the spirit, we are assured of victory. How do we know that? One advantage that we have is that we stand and fight in Yeshua. We do not fight from our earthly state of being. We are in Messiah Yeshua, who always has the high ground. So we stand above our adversaries, where they are already under the feet of Yeshua, who has already made an open display of them and his victory over them. And so we raise up the revelation of Yahweh, Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, in Messiah Yeshua, and we raise up the battle cry, we raise up the victory cry. We do so with the teruah and with the shout of the shofar. That causes our enemies to be scattered and those who hate him to flee from before him. Be victorious. Find your place in Messiah. and get ready to make some noise. We'll see you again tomorrow. Till then, shalom.